John Paul, I do think we're a little bit stuck. Doesn't mean we're finished, but kind of beating our head against the wall. I mean, I've answered your question, and you're repeating it. Okay, I've told you why I'm not going to give up terms. You know, it's not like I'm advocating small government. I don't believe it could be small. It's minimal government, efficient government. You know, what are other things that conservatives, own? Concepts, words. They're into personal liberty, right? Well, see, I never was conservative. I have an overlap. I have some views that could be considered conservative right now. But I've never been a conservative. The closest I got is people told me my belief in liberty. Oh, that's conservative. But as I looked into it, I never found that to be the case. Certainly not in what we call social conservatism. I don't even think in economic conservatism. It's not liberty. It could be called potentialism or something. We claim this is the potential for liberty, this kind of, I could become the CEO of Halliburton too. Start carving out your own little space. I've told you why. Look, you were once a conservative. And now you're a liberal, right? When you made that transition, did you in your head think you were giving up on liberty? You don't support personal liberty anymore. What did you think? Well, I've given up belief in personal liberty. If so, then you are a victim of the conservative still. And I've explained to you framing. When you give your ideological opponents ownership over words that you have a right to claim ownership over as well, then you're giving into their framing. Now, I'm sure you don't want liberals to go around saying they're against personal liberty, but they can't say they're for it. Okay, I've explained why. It's a battle over the words. What else can I say? In Stickum, I mentioned that when I was younger, I had an idea for a political party. I called it the Tea Party, the letter T. Fine, believe me, if I made a political party now, I would not reuse that idea. I would not call it the Tea Party. They can have that. Who cares? T, the letter T, the drink T, acronym T, whatever. Superficial, so okay, you can have it. But things like efficient government, I'm supposed to give up my belief in efficient government or call it something else? I don't think so. The real battle is telling those words, you see. And yet, you simply keep asking the same question and expressing how worried you are about, Republicans and the Tea Party. But where is that going? I mean, I'm not changing this. This is my whole philosophy in politics and everything. It's the same thing with dogmatism. I'll define, certainty and knowledge and stuff. So many dogmatists and skeptics are like, oh, well, there's no such thing as knowledge by the skeptical definition. Well, that's not true. There's no such thing as knowledge if you use the dogmatist objective definition and skeptical criteria. But if you use the skeptical criteria along with the skeptical definition, then there is knowledge, relative knowledge. I'm supposed to give that up. I'm supposed to admit I don't believe in knowledge. That would be a lie. Okay. If you want to say, well, but it's politically expedient, I would give a damn. History of philosophy is an easy 3,000-year study, even longer. Right? And I care that for 50 or 100 years, people have tried to own words. It's not the end story. We have to accept things the way they are. No, they aren't. No, we don't. Language is in constant flux. It's constantly changing. Your English teacher might tell you, here's the way, so this is what English is, but English is constantly changing. It's a moving target. But the most important thing is this isn't just a disagreement, a neutral disagreement. You are entirely misguided, according to me, in the way you're approaching politics. This combination of worry and surrender, basically. You will surrender words like, phrases like individual liberty and efficient government to conservatives. Me, I don't care. Maybe I am a conservative. Maybe I'm the real conservative. It does not matter to me. The labels will fall where they may. And it's not aid and comfort because that's just an appearance that appears to you as a former conservative that evidently still believes they own those words. Well, no, thank you. Maybe you should continue to be a conservative until you realize they don't own personal liberty. They don't own individual liberty, right? That's not how concepts work, first of all. Second of all, if the only liberty you believe in is the liberty not to have to pay a tax, then that should be named after, tax, anti-taxism or something. You would cede all of that territory, and that's the real territory. The language and how we think and what the framing comes. This is the only place to engage the real cultural battle that's going on. Is over the terms, how they ought to be understood. And I'm very liberal in that, in the sense that, hey, you can have your own idea and call it individual liberty, and it could be different from the one I call individual liberty. We could share the term like that and just let them come face to face, see which lasts in the long run. But I could be the last person on earth that thinks that individual liberty is a progressive value, and I won't give it up. So it's futile. Don't bother to do that. All you can do is either try to understand what I've told you and ask a different question, or just give up because you're at the threshold of your understanding, right? And I told you in Stigum, and I will repeat this, it's pretty much established, I think, what needs to happen in politics, what we really need. We need metaphors that make people feel strong doing the right thing. Right? And we're never going to get that letting them have the language of freedom. Okay, letting people that don't believe two men or two women should have the right to form a lifelong, recognized union. Giving them the idea of individual liberty, well, that's just hypocrisy. If you do that, you're hypocritical. And if you say, oh, but there's a practical reason, then you're just a sellout. Then you just can't be trusted. Right? So instead, tell me, who are you going to vote for? You're going to vote for Christ, whatever that fucker's name is. You're going to vote for Rubio. You're going to vote for Meek. What are you going to do? Offer a metaphor. Just your worry and constantly going, oh, I see what you're saying, Piero. They're just paying lip service. But still, but still is not an argument. But I'm worried, not an argument. I mean, it might be an argument on my side that, oh, you're worried, you're not thinking clearly. Okay, so that's where we're stuck. If you really can't move on to another subject in the subject matter area, then fine, let's investigate this use of language, this philosophy of language that I'm espousing to you. What is it that you don't understand? You already told me that you understood that I'm saying they're just paying lip service to it. I've told you again, I don't intend to let hypocrites own words they don't really back up. That's not going to happen. That's not how I do it. So what else is there to tell you about that? All right? Seriously. Why don't you tell me, what you think, why you're willing to say you don't support individual liberty since the conservatives own that, and you don't support a minimal government. You want it to be bloated. Is that right? And the same thing is, you want to be in denial. Oh, yes, of course our poor in America are better off than your average African, but we don't want to say that because, that sounds like we're supporting them and supporting their arguments. No, only if you think arguments against compassion based on based on the idea that our poor are not the poorest poor in the world are valid. I don't believe those arguments are valid. They do not follow from the fact of the matter, right? You want a grant. Oh, yeah, they follow, and therefore we can't even admit it. And this is one reason that liberals, fail. They fail to win. They fail to take advantage of the fact that when you poll people, they believe a lot of the things that liberals say they believe. See, those people don't believe the liberals are really working for that. And this is one of the reasons. You can't admit. What kind of a liberal can't admit that in America we're privileged compared to? Plus, I really dislike the way you change what I said. I said that our poor, I said if you want to fight a class war, you're going to find that even our poor are on the wrong side of that class divide when you compare it globally. Right? I said they're not as poor as, and then you say they're wealthy. You say they're wealthy. No, I didn't say that. I said they're wealthy compared to. What don't you understand? That's English, right? You speak English. Compared to. That's just a fact. The point of that is that it's not a class war, okay? It's obviously not a class war. And you want to think that I'm saying, oh, it's fine because they're wealthy. No, I don't even believe the wealthy have it that good. I think there's all kinds of torture and mental problems in prisons going on. I think a lot of wealthy people are slaves. I think the master is a kind of slave to the system. So I'm not saying it's okay, the poverty in America. That should be obvious, and I've made it explicit. I'm saying this shows that it's not a class war because all of us in North America would be on the wrong side of that. So you're going to set up a fight where, God damn those ruling class people, and you're going to ignore the fact that you're one of them. In certain contexts, John, you're one of them. And you think, well, we'll just deny that because it doesn't sound good. People aren't stupid. They know you're just saying things that do or don't sound good to you, and that's your motivation. Right? And the reason it doesn't work is because when you cede the language, you cede the entire battle. Okay? So answer that. When you cede the language, you cede the entire battle. And I'm happy to explain more cognitive science to you, but it is possible for you to go understand on your own. Read Don't Think of an Elephant or something, and educate your linguistic understanding or something, or just come back to me. I will explain and clarify, but you can't just say the same thing. Oh, I get it, Piero, but I'm still so worried. I have to say once again, stop giving a maiden comfort. Hey, and if you're stuck at that, really stuck at that, then just face it. You think I'm a conservative or some sort of a traitor or I'm helping the enemy. Maybe I am the enemy, dude, because I believe the things I say. And you think that they're conservative things, then you think I'm a conservative. I can live with that. I know for a fact I support gun rights more than your typical liberal. Maybe I just am a conservative. I think conservative versus liberal is bullshit, is stupid. So, either just make a decision on how you're going to categorize me, or increment your questions and your points to the next level. Figure out some way to get beyond but I'm still worried about the Tea Party, and therefore I don't think you should talk about efficient government. Because I'm going to. Okay, so you might as well face that as reality. This isn't just today or last month. This is 40 years of thinking, or at least 30. All right, so that's what I mean about making progress in this. Right now, we're just going in a circle. Okay. You want to break the circle and you can't figure out how? Answer the question about your Florida Senate seat.